Hello, everybody, and welcome to Unconventional GMs, where we play one-shot ttrpgs with pace, vim, and vigor. And today, we're exploring space, the final frontier, with Star Trek Adventures Second Edition. The star date is 5928.5, which, as I'm sure you all know, puts this episode just at the end of the original series of Trek. Kirk, Spock, and Bones are still out there exploring on their 5-year mission. But the USS Convention is also out there as well. And we have 2 of its crew playing today as their vessel explores the various colonies and planets at the edge of the Romulan Neutral Zone. Let's meet our crew in descending order of rank, starting with Commander Thalrek. Gaz, who are you playing today?
Yes, I'm Gaz. When I'm not co-hosting this, I'm also one half of What Would the Smart Party Do, the UK's premier RPG podcast. So do a go across to there. We've just released our 200th episode. Amazing. In this game, I shall be playing Lieutenant Commander Thalrek Sharn. I am Andorian, and because this is original series, that means that the little horns I've got are slightly different blue than the face paint I've got on me, and the white wig I'm wearing doesn't fit properly. But let's skip over all that. Lieutenant Commander Thalrek is known to be a cautious but prudent man. However, recently he's beginning to feel like he should do more action, throw himself into things a little bit more, perhaps like his colleague. We'll find about him in a moment. But he likes to stay in control. He's aiming to get his own starship one day, and maybe he's only 1 or 2 missions off that happening. Let's hope everything goes well today.
Shot at promotion, no less. Well, he's ably assisted by his fellow crewman, Ensign Schultz. Who are you playing today, John?
Hi, I'm John, and I'm going to be playing Ensign Maxwell Schultz. He's a human Starfleet officer. He's bright-eyed and keen, and he really, really wanted this mission. And so he kind of begged quite a few people and got on people's nerves until he got assigned. He's served on several server missions before, but he's a bit too optimistic about what's going to happen. I'm not quite sure yet, but yeah, he likes to learn things new things all the time, and so but that might get him in trouble. Who knows? But yeah, I'm playing Ensign Maxwell Schultz.
Fantastic. So, as I said, you are on the edge of the Romulan Neutral Zone, exploring, looking at the planets that are there, and you have been called to the planet of Andax 4. Captain Smith calls the 2 of you to his ready room and explains that he needs you to form an away team with a security ensign. Ensign Canner's obviously there to support with his phaser. He'll be wearing a red shirt, so you'll know he's a security ensign there. He says, I need to form an away team. We need to investigate what's happening on Andax 4. You'll know that it's a planet that contains sources of a rare dilithium ore that could be really useful for the future of the Federation. There's a science colony on there that the Federation maintain, researching and cataloguing the ore for future use and checking its stability, all the while mindful of the Andaxians. They're a native species that exist at a reasonably primitive level of technology. We've been picking up some strange readings from the planet. And the science colony have sent out an alert because they're concerned that some of the radiation levels on there from the tetra ions from the dilithium are showing quite worrying levels. If they were to become fully unstable, it's possible that the colony or even the planet could shake itself apart. And so we need to really go down and investigate. Now, because it's so unstable, this also makes shuttlecraft and transporting a little bit tricky. But Thalrek, you've been asking before about leading an away team. How do you feel about taking the people down and seeing what you can do to help this colony?
Well, Captain, thank you for this opportunity. First and foremost, yes, I feel I should do more to get out there and speak to new and interesting species, potentially, although I will keep the Prime Directive in mind, if indeed such a thing exists in this timeline. I I'm glad that Ensign Kenners is coming with us. I'm a little nervous at taking a new ensign with us, but with Kenners, well, we know we're in good hands. He saved me, of course, from the Thunder Beast on Aldorsia 2, not 3 cycles ago. So yeah, he's healed now. I think his ribs are back in working order. We just have to ignore the wheezing from his breath, but I think we'll be fine. There shouldn't be any trouble anyway. This is just a fairly routine mission, I feel.
At the mention of the Thunder Beach, you do kind of instinctively like clutches at his ribs and sort of doubles down, but then immediately straightens himself to stand to attention to demonstrate to the captain and you, Schultz, that he's absolutely in fine health now. He says, "Yeah, and Schultz, this is a good scientific mission for you, and I'm sure you're the right man for the job to affect this. We'll be staying in orbit. We have to monitor the background radiation in the system, but we'll just be on the end of a communicator. And just to clarify something, Thalric, the Prime Directive is very much in force here. We need to be very cautious with the Andaxians. We know how dangerous it can be if we were to interfere with a species before they achieved warp. It certainly would present a bit of a dilemma for us and will be looked on quite poorly by any superiors when they were considering a future captaincy awarding. If I make myself clear.
You do. I hope you pay attention, ensigns, when the captain speaks. He's often got pearls of wisdom.
Very, very glad to be here, Captain, says Ensign Schultz. And I'd just like to say for the record that what happened on the Redoubtable was nothing to do with me, and it wasn't anything to do with the science department. So I'm hoping that I can affect a better role here on board your ship. So
it says, I've read the report that the parts of it that were not redacted. That was broadly what it said. I'm sure this will be a great chance for you to clear a name. Sorry, prove your worth to the Federation here. We've got a short amount of time before we get into orbit, into a position. You might want to. It's up to you, really, Commander, how you transport down to the planet. As you can see, and he brings the view screen up in the ready room, that the planet is sort of lush greenery, but covered in mists. And you can see the sort of crackling of storms on it as well. He says, we're going to get as close in as we can because it's quite tricky getting access at the moment with all this instability. And at that, he sort of dismisses you to engineering, to the bridge. You've got an opportunity here to maybe look into the planet, do some research on its history, or you could actually go to your sensors and do your own scans of the planet and see if you can pick up anything else from there.
Yeah, I'll just give Ensign Kenners the nod on the way out. Going, don't worry, I know you released yourself early from sickbay against the doctor's orders, but you have my back, I'll have yours. That's how it's going to work on this mission, guys. We'll look after each other. No blame culture. Don't worry about any of that redoubtable nonsense. We'll just all stick together, and everything's going to be great. Perhaps, Maxwell, you'd like to. I know you know about quantum physics and things like that. Perhaps you can see if it'd be possible to get us through the mists and stuff, and if there is a way to teleport down safely. I don't know the exact details. Perhaps that's something you could look into. Whereas I think my talents are better placed in xenobiology and perhaps trying to understand what else might be down the planet besides the primitive species, or what else might be going on.
Yes, Maxwell says I could do that. I could potentially look into maybe recalibrating the transporters, maybe the phased polarity surge or something, he says, and then kind of like gets his tricorder and wanders off towards off into the ship somewhere. So.
It's like Kenners visibly like relaxes and starts limping again. Once you're out of the captain's, but he seems he does give a grimace of pain as he's clearly not quite himself yet, but goes and stands by to get there. So maybe we'll go to Schultz first. So in terms of like looking at the planet, I think the first thing really is to try and get a lid on these radiation storms and see what's really happening here, which is going to be probably our first dice roll. It's going to be a difficulty 1 check, and I think it's going to be insight probably, plus either con or science. You could use either of those. The ship can also actually help you because you're on board ship. So if you want to roll, you normally roll 2d20. The ship can give you an extra d20 that'll aid. I think it's probably easiest if I roll for the ship, actually, because it's rolling against a different target number. It needs to get 11 or lower to get success. It's difficulty 1 to find out the basics of the storms, but as you guys know, and for those watching at home, if you get more momentum, you can either bank it and spend it in future, or you can spend it on more information. So do you want to get your 2d20, talk through what your stats are, and
so I've
roll, John?
Yeah, so I've got insight 9, and I was going to go with science 4 probably. So I've got 13, so I've got 2d20 to roll, which you said. So let's go with that. I'll roll then. Okay, I've rolled 2d20, and I've got a 11 and a 10.
Yeah, so that's 2 successes. Yeah, so we check if you rolled below 4 on either of those, and you had a relevant focus. And I tend to be pretty broad brush with the focus if we can talk them in. We don't need to work out what area of sort of quantum physics you're using. That would be relevant in here because it's sort of on a ship and it's science. You would get 2 successes for that, or for a rolling a 1. The ship is going to roll as well. The ship's got an 8, so the ship's got 1 success as well. So you've got a total of 3 successes there. So I'll tell you what you discover with your difficulty 1 task. And you've actually got 2 momentum now, which you'll have an option to spend on more information, or you might want to bank and do some stuff with. As you follow in the radiation and tetryon ions as you look at it, it does indeed seem to be an urgent situation. They're sort of cycling up and down, but they do seem to be increasing. The science colony, you can see, which is just sort of one building of about 40 scientists, is located nearest to the biggest cluster of unstable isotopes. It is quite nearby. The danger to them, you think, is significant. I can tell you as well with that, because you were looking particularly at how you'd get down. It'd be possible to beam down, not easy to beam down. Normally it's just difficulty 0 to beam down. You just do it. You might be able to like cycle in for when the radiation's at its lowest and the storms are low, and transport down. Or you could take a shuttlecraft down. But again, as you look at the view screen, you can see that this is actually manifesting in sort of blue storms as well across this mist-shrouded sort of jungle planet. So piloting a shuttlecraft is not going to be hugely straightforward either, because you're going to have to get through the storms. But either are valid options. Now, there are a couple of there are 2 options for obtaining information I can give you. So if you want to spend 1 or both of those momentums, you can find out some more stuff about, because you've scanned sort of the science colony, but there's also other life forms on the planet. There's the Andaxians. So you can find out some stuff about them if you want to spend 1 or both of those momentums.
Are you happy for me to do that, Gary? Because I was thinking that in this game you lose momentum if you don't use it through scenes, I think, don't you? That's right. So I was thinking it might be worth at least spending 1 of them. But let's spend them and get as much information. Let's get as much intelligence as we can before we go. Yeah, I'm going to spend the momentum.
Okay, so just so you know what you spent it on. The first one does indicate there are thousands of Andaxians on the planet. It is a full sort of planet-wide civilization, although spread out pretty widely. Interestingly, it looks as if they're clustered around the clusters of these dilithium ore crystals, except that when you see the most unstable isotopes, including the one by the near to the science colony, they've actually moved quite a bit away from them. So they cluster around the isotopes, but where it's unstable, they seem to have moved away from them in terms of where the life signs are coming. And for your second one, as you scan the Andaxians generally, you get an idea their technology level is around about sort of 1950s. They've got basic radios and so on. There's not really much sign of heavy industry, but that's probably because of the conditions on the planet. It doesn't really lend itself to having roads or transportation like that. But they've got guns, they've got internal combustion engines and so on. You also notice with that spend that there's the odd sort of reading of more advanced technology. So it's as if maybe some Federation technology has been lost, or they've managed to get some stuff from the colony or something. There's odd pockets, and it's difficult to tell because they appear and then they go. It's hard to isolate with the radiation of, the indicators that you get from maybe a tricorder or a phaser or some sort of high-tech small arm. Nothing massive. It's not like they've got huge amounts of it, but there's the odd background register you'd think, no, that's not 1950s technology there.
Is the Federation science base that's down there? Is it a distance away from any Andaxians, or is there close proximity to them? I mean,
yeah. So it's not. It's a sort of what it considered initially a safe distance from the nearest isotope. So it's sort of 15, 16 kilometers away from the nearest isotope, and the Andaxians. There were some Andaxians clustered around those, but they seem to have moved away from it because it's most unstable. Okay. So not right on top of it, but also not isolated particularly from them either. Okay, if we cut back to Commander Thalrek, you were trying to do some research, I think, weren't you?
Yes.
So that's probably reason and science, but you could make a case for insight instead.
Yeah, it doesn't matter to me, to be honest. So yeah, reason and
okay,
and science.
Again, this is difficulty one.
Okay. I don't think I've got anything particularly excited about that, whatever, so I'm just going to roll in and see what happens.
Go for it.
I get an actual one as one of my results.
Is that 13 a success as well?
It is, yeah.
Okay.
No, sorry, one off. I just missed on that
so
one.
You've just got the 2 successes from there. So you've got, let me just get straight. So you've got 1 point of momentum. Right. So yeah, you, so as the history of this planet is fairly detailed, but quite dull from when the science colony was established, which was only about 3 years ago, when the dilithium was found. You do notice that the history has got big gaps in it, and it looks as if from here that this planet has been inside and outside the Romulan Neutral Zone as it's been established and not established and so on throughout its history. The Andaxians have been there for a long time as well. It's unusual for them to stay at this sort of level of technology for that amount of time, if you see what I mean.
Mm-hmm.
It's like they're maybe they just don't value the technological development that they have, or something, that they've stayed about there. And they are, as you would expect, as most aliens that you encounter are, they look broadly similar to humans, but with a sort of greenish tint to their skin because of the heavy jungle cover, and a little crest on their foreheads that just goes across, but otherwise look very similar to humans, like most alien races indeed in this universe do, funnily enough. So there is 1 obtain information spend you can get if you want to spend another momentum on here.
So did you say we'd lose momentum between scenes?
It goes down by 1, I think, between scenes.
Yeah, so as I've only got 1 momentum, let's spend that bad boy.
Might as well smoke them if you got them. Yeah, right. So yeah, there's, as you sort of piece together its history, it does look as if the Andaxians have had contact with other species and other entities. There's definitely records of Orions being in the area in the past. There's no actual records of it, but clearly this is near to Romulan space. There are planets nearby that have been occupied by the Romulan Star Empire and become client states. It would be quite unusual if the Romulans hadn't at some point in the last sort of 100 years made some sort of contact with the Andaxians. And like the Orions definitely have. That was more recent, and the Federation had to sort of intervene and ensure the dilithium was safe. And that was the incident that it's not specifically spelt out, but that was the incident you think that led to the science colony being put on there. So there's a Federation presence on the planet to try and keep it neutral, so the Orions don't go in and just take all the dilithium or buy it off them for whatever shiny things the Orions might offer them for it. So yeah, that's what you can find it from there.
Yeah, so I'm starting to take a pinch of salt the captain's words about Prime Directive and stuff, because obviously some people in the Andaxian hierarchy will have had contact. So what kind of, is it like a mono government they've got, or is it kind of tribal and they're in different like cities-states or countries, or
so it seems quite tribal, as if they're in smaller settlements that representatives from each meet up. But they, as I say, their government seems to be quite primitive as well. There's not that many of them on a planet that's got quite a lot of sources of fauna and sources of food and so on. So they've not really had to mechanize an awful lot, if you see what I mean, to survive. Okay. So fairly basic, really.
I do one last check in the xenobiology logs to make sure there's no thunder beasts on the planet, and then having satisfied myself with that, or maybe got a vague entry if and I choose to optimistically believe there are any.
Yeah, you find that log's already been accessed by Ensign Kenneth, and in fact, he's been scanning every planet the ship's been near for quite a while. Actually, it's weird. He's been blocked access to that part of the database on medical advice now. I hope he's
got an obsessive personality, Ensign Kenneth. I recognise that for his medical file as well. Okay, seems good. Well, I'm as prepared as I can be, so I'm going to round up Kenneth from wherever he's laying down. And then we're going to head to the transporter room, where I'm going to assume that Schultz is waiting for us.
Yeah.
Excellent. You're going to beam down then?
I think so.
Yeah,
and Schultz will say. So.
Yeah. And Schultz will fire back up on this and say there doesn't seem to be. It seems piloting a shuttle down has its own hazards. It looks. I mean, yeah, and I personally think that if there's a storm and we get separated from the shuttle, at least if we're getting transported, we can move away from the storm and hopefully get transported back if we need to.
Yeah, and I want to remove the risk that we end up leaving a shuttle there.
Yeah. Full of all that juicy Federation equipment.
Exactly.
Yeah. It's not, because that's definitely not happened before. Okay, so transporting down is going to be it's engineering, which I think is nobody's specialism. Even Kenner's is not great at engineering. The ship can assist you. It's going to be difficulty 2, control plus engineering for you to do this. You can, either of you can roll if you want. If you want, the other person could assist as well. And the ship can assist as well if you want.
So I'm going to take responsibility because I've selected the mechanism. So I think if I roll, I'm just going to get all the technical help I can off Schultz as he talks me through like the modifications and stuff.
Yeah. If I'm assisting, do I get 1 d20?
Yeah, you just roll 1 d20 against your own control plus engineering. So if you want to roll, I'll roll for the ship. The ship is no help. If you want to roll for yours, we'll see how we've got. So, how many successes have each of you got there?
I've just got the 1. That would be.
Roll engineering 9. I've got 0 successes.
So 1 success. Got our first failure of the night. So what happens is you are trying to cycle Thalmec, the transporter, so that it'll beam down just when the radiation is lowest, and you think there's a sort of predictable pattern to this. And as you just hit engage, or tell the attendant to engage, we see the 3 of your sort of jumpsuits fade into there. And just as they do, we hear a big crackle of a burst of sort of background radiation. The transporter panel, in fact, we see as the audience, like just fritzes and electricity fires out, and the crewman gets like thrown backwards from it. And we see you stay in stasis for a bit of time, actually, before you very slowly and gingerly reappear, not where you intended to do it, at somewhere where there's your transport signal has been blown, if you like, blown off course by some of this background radiation. You arrive sort of flat.
The planet's turned around more as we've been in stasis.
Yeah. You arrive sort of face down, fired into a sort of swampy pit. As you look around, you're in damp, thick jungle. There's a thick, mossy, organic smell in the air, but you can also feel a little crackle on your skin of static electricity, even more so than when you normally transport down. Schultz, your tricorder is like beeping and buzzing. It's original series, isn't it? So it's got three coloured knobs on the top. They're bursting into loads of colour. It's really, and occasionally there's like fizzes from there and stuff. You think it might be dusk, but there's a sort of low blue glow all across the area from that. You can just make out some shadows, some sort of shadowy figures moving away as you've arrived, and some garbled shouts to one another. And as you sort of turn around, this pit is actually liquid, and all three of you are being sucked down into it. What do you do?
What we don't do is panic. So I'm going to instruct Kenneth.
That's what Kenneth has started doing already.
Yeah. So I'm going to command Kenneth, who's going to be nearest solid ground, to get there and throw us a branch or some vine or something, whatever he can find to help us out of there.
Excellent. Do you want to like command and presence and command, you think?
Yeah, sure.
Yeah, I'm going to make that just difficulty 1. Kenneth is used to you. Is eager to follow instructions that might save his life.
That's 2 successes.
Amazing. You can have that momentum as well. So Kenneth rushes to the edge and pulls down a vine and sort of lowers it to you both, and you're able to sort of drag yourselves back onto the dry land here. Schultz, your tricorder is still sort of spitting and whirring. As you look around, it's just sort of thick jungle. There's not really any sign of where the colony might be, and the figures that were stalking you before, you can't make out where they've gone. Schultz, what's your reaction to this? What are you thinking the next step should be?
Schultz curses under his breath and says, "Oh, Halloran, I told him to recalibrate to 0.42 terahertz, and he didn't." And he takes his boot off and pulls some swamp water out. And then there's
a cut back to like a flashback of this like grizzled transporter chief going 0.425, close enough, and walks off. Yeah. Walks off and gets a cup of tea or something. Yeah, go on.
No, it's fine. And his tricorder is on the fritz. Did you say?
Yeah.
He will attempt to get his tricorder working so he can try and scan for those life forms to see where they are. Is what he'll try and do.
Excellent. Turning the knobs on it.
Turn that one that way, and then that one that way. It'll be like an extra sketch type thing.
Exactly. That's exactly how it works. That is going to be, so that can be either engineering or con. You can actually, con is what you use for flying ships, but it's also what you use for using sort of operations like this, or a KitchenAid or whatever. You use con to do that. So I think that's probably reason plus con to try and
I'll go with reason plus con, because I've got reason 11, con 3. So
I'm going to make it. So I'm going to make this difficulty 2, because you are trying to fix it without really anything on there. I'll remind you, just for people at home as well, that you can, if you want to roll an extra d20, you can spend a point of momentum. You can buy extra d20s to roll that way. You can also give me threat if you want. So if you give me, I think it's 2 points of threat, you can get an extra point of momentum. It might be 1 for 1. I will check that. That is 1 for 1. So you can give me a point of threat and you get an extra dice from that as well.
Do we have any momentum at the moment? We have a point.
You have momentum. 1 point of momentum. So, yeah.
I think Schultz will use a point of threat. I kind of feel like it's a threatening situation already, and I feel like he'll. I think it feels right, and he'll give you a point of threat to get an extra dice, see whether he can fix his tricorder, so we can maybe get a bearing, see what's going on out there, and make sure and get us out of this place. So we've got to roll the dice, obviously, now. Let's see what happens. I have rolled. I have got 1 success, but I've also rolled a 20, and that's not. Is that?
It's a complication. You're quite right. That's a complication. That's so you have failed. There's a buzz from the tricorder, and it does not seem to want to work. I think you can pick up enough of an energy signature to get a vague. You can get like a vague direction in which the colony is. But you've triggered a complication. Now, how I'm going to put that in, I can bank that for threat if I want. What I'm going to do is I'm going to introduce a trait to the scene. And the trait that I'm going to introduce, which is going to make stuff difficult, is as you do this, that you, as well as the sort of crackly electricity, you begin to feel the dabs of rain on you that very quickly turns into quite a downpour. The thick jungle canopy, which you thought would protect you from this, isn't really doing much because the leaves just falling down, and you are like drenched in this rainstorm that is passing. You've got the vague direction that the science colony is probably in, but you've lost the figures that were around you. You can't detect them.
Darn it, O'Halloran, he mutters again, blaming him for all this. I'm sorry, Commander. I think it's this way, but my tricorder is giving up the ghost.
Yeah, well, listen, Schultz, we can trust each other, but you can't trust other people. You've got to double check the work, which is what I'll be doing for you. So don't take it personally. But we've ended up teleporting in the middle of nowhere. Your equipment's faulty, and now you're blaming other people. What did I tell you about a no blame culture? Damn it! I'll strike my fist into my palm. Now look, we're just gonna have to go old school. And I'm going to look for the way that moss grows on the side of trees and other such tricks, using my xenobiology focus to try.
Nice.
And all those books I've read about how, just how the topography of the planet is and stuff like that, to try and look for landmarks and find a way towards the science base.
Schultz takes the batteries out of his tricorder and kind of tries to warm them up and roll them around and put them back in to no avail in the background.
In the thick pouring rain.
In the thick pouring rain.
Kenneth looks quizzically at that. It's like, amazing. So to navigate to the colony, we're going to do this. It's just one roll, if you see what I mean. It was difficulty 2. It's now difficulty 3, I'm afraid, because of the trait, the rain that makes that tougher. I think it's actually probably, the way you narrated it might be fitness plus science. That sounds a bit weird, but you've got to get there, but also you're using your knowledge for that. You still got 1 momentum. Schultz, you can help as well if you want to roll to do that. I mean, I think Kenneth can help as well if he wants, but
fitness plus science, did you say?
Yeah, fitness plus science.
I could do that. I'll attempt to.
And I will spend our momentum because we need to get where we're going. We need to show these young ensign.
Excellent. Difficulty 3, so you've got 3 successes on this.
Well, there's a complication, but I did get 2 successes.
Right. I'll just roll for Kenneth. Kenneth has come up trumps. He's quite fit, as you'd expect from a security guard, despite his. I mean, he seems to have developed a hacking cough in this rain as well, as he keeps clutching at his ribs as he sort of limps through this place. You have just made those 3 successes, but with a complication, which I'm just going to sit on for now. I'll tell you when it comes up. It will appear later, but after a few hours of trekking through the jungle, the rain does eventually abate, just as you see the white plastic, reinforced plastic bulbs of this science colony appear, and you're able to arrive and do it. As you sort of go in, you can see there are Federation scientists there that open the door and usher you in. They've been expecting you. They say, we were hoping that you answered the call. We saw the ship was in orbit, but we didn't realize what had happened. These radiation storms, they're really difficult. We tend to stay indoors when it's like this.
Yeah, I think there's been the sort of cut scene of us getting there was around, because it was Ken's extra success that got us there. It was him dragging us on mountainsides and stuff like that. But I think as we get in there, that's when he's finally giving in. So I'll be helping him through the doorway, as if that's what's been happening all along.
So is your ensign okay? He looks really badly injured.
Oh, thank you. We're in desperate need of new uniforms, I'll say, looking down our sodden, ripped and muddy.
Okay. Yeah, well, and as it's a TV show, in the next scene, they're all sort of dry and new, exactly as they were before, despite the fact that the scientists on the colony aren't wearing anything like Federation uniforms. They're just wearing sort of normal weird robes and scientist clothes. So the colony it's quite, as you come in, it's quite sterile. There's a sort of constant hum of air filtration. You have to go through, each time you progress to a new part of it, you have to go through almost like a double airlock, which they explain is just to be careful with the radiation shielding and so on. It's entirely dust free. Everything sort of shines. Everything's made of this white sort of shiny plastic. You do notice that the actual instrument panels that they have here, while looking quite stylish, Schultz, you notice these are a little bit outdated. You remember seeing pictures of these sort of readouts in textbooks, but you've never, since being at the academy, you've never actually worked on something as out of date as this. It'd be a bit like in Star Trek Next Generation, seeing the
right.
like helm from not quite from the original series, but from the movie. So it's a few years out of date, although they're really well maintained from what you can say. But it's unusual for a cutting edge science station that's only been there a few years to have this sort of basic stuff. But you are introduced to a tall sort of wiry man comes to meet you when you've rested and says, "I want to introduce myself. I'm Dr. Daros Lansine. I'm the colony leader, and we're glad you've come. And the radiation just keeps getting more and more unstable. We've not really been able to identify what's happening here. I wonder sometimes if the Andaxians are up to something. They've never really got along with us being on this planet. I think they had some run-ins with some of the other races before, and it's been a tricky time for them. So I wonder if they're up for something. We need to get to the bottom of it. We just need to resolve this, and then we can, we're nearly at the point where we can stabilize it enough that we can harvest this dilithium and get it for Starfleet, and then we can have all this. And more importantly, hey, Commander, keep it out of the Romulans' hands.
And the going and no end of others.
Mm-hmm.
Indeed, yes. Well, we don't. It's this is hard-earned Federation dilithium. This from our science colony, isn't it? We should get there. And as he's doing this, is you can see what looks to be his assistant is next to him. Is a sort of wiry Vulcan scientist. Is looking as you would expect for a Vulcan, very emotionless and stern, but isn't really nodding along to any of Dr. Lansine's claims. Is remaining completely straight-faced and stuff. Isn't really backing up anything that he's said. But anyway,
I'm going to give Schultz a bit of a sideways glance if I can, because I think obviously like this guy sounds quite obsessive. So there's a chance for some science on science action if I can get Schultz to speak to the Vulcan. So I'm just going to feed the main scientist, Darius, is feed his ego a little bit. Going, oh, you've not got the latest equipment, and yet you've managed to do all this for Starfleet. Tell me more about how this works. And I'll press a lever or something so that he has to run over, and I'll just keep him occupied to give Schultz a chance to speak to.
Yes, he runs over. And he starts explaining that the radiation levels were dangerous, and so we wanted to have stuff that would be really resilient. But he says, but you're right, it is incredible that we've managed to achieve such feats even with this primitive technology. Maybe some of your cutting edge science would help us to do more. And he launched into a quite dull explanation of exactly what they found with this dilithium, leaving you, Schultz, alone with this Vulcan scientist who remains stony-faced initially and waits for you to make the first move.
I'll introduce myself and say, it's Ensign Maxwell Schultz, science officer. Nice to meet you. And just kind of out of earshot, I'll just say, you didn't seem to, forgive me, but you didn't seem to be in complete agreement with your senior, with what he was saying. Am I speaking out of turn, or would that be a correct observation?
Says I am Professor Andal. I also work on the science colony. Obviously, I have the greatest of respect for Dr. Lansine.
Absolutely.
He is a fine scientist, and he is the colony's leader. There is a diversity of thought, however, within the colony, as is only natural as we explore all scientific avenues. I think that the real interest on this planet may be the Andaxians.
The Andaxians themselves.
That has been my focus of study, rather than the crystals. There is dilithium in many places in the universe, but there's only one planet with these Andaxians on.
And what is it about the Andaxians that interests you so? I mean, obviously they are a unique species to this planet, but what is it in particular?
So, well, they seem to have some sort of strange relationship with these crystals. They know when they're unstable. They know when they're providing energy. There's a little sort of, it's a side. You'll be aware that dilithium ore can release piezoelectric energy unpredictably when it's has not been stabilized as this is. But the Andaxians appear to be able to sometimes harness it. They seem to have almost a religious relationship with it, most illogical. but I have as yet been unable to determine how they come by this knowledge.
When you say they can harness it, do you feel like they may be able to manipulate it as well? Or is it purely that they have some kind of knowledge of it that allows them to understand when, as you said, instability occurs?
I have not been able to determine that yet. The Prime Directive is challenging. There are cases, of course, and he comes in like it's his turn to sort of move you away from your commanding officer now. It's just there are cases in which it can be broken, though. We have a planet full of unstable dilithium ore. There are cases before where the Prime Directive has been broken to avoid the destruction of an entire species, are there not, Mr. Schultz?
Absolutely, and I think that it could be argued that it would be a very persuasive argument to make that we could do that. Yeah, that we could do this here potentially.
He says, "I'm not saying, of course, that the planet is liable to explode at any moment." And then we maybe cut back to Lansine, who is saying, "Look, we could get it stable enough. If you can stabilize the crystals, we can get some samples off, get them up to your ship, and analyze them and get it under control. We've not been able to do it with these devices. What do you say? Speak to your captain, Thalrek?" He waits for your response, but before you have a chance to respond, there is a thud and a grind, and we see there's a tremor that shakes it, and Lansine looks around and says, the crystals in the lab must be exploding," and the whole sort of shot begins to shake. We see bits of plastic falling down. They have to be stabilized, as he rushes this way and that, and we see that the shouts of other scientists haplessly running to and fro, as it looks as if this colony is actually about to shake itself apart from this. What's your initial reaction? What do you do to this?
Schultz will offer his assistance straight away to Professor Randall. Is there anything I can do to help Professor Randall?
Yeah, stabilize the crystals. Thanks.
Okay.
Assist my men. Thalak, I'm assuming you're keen to do that too.
Yeah, I was on the verge of saying teleport us out of here, but then see the way the wind's blowing, and so yes, we must help immediately. That's what we should do.
I mean, you can stabilize the crystals, or you can try and evacuate the entire colony if you prefer. It's your call, really, as commanding officer. And the Lansine is quite clear keen to stay and somehow get them stabilized.
I think we're going to have to do a lot more stabilizing crystals in our future. That's got consensus. So if we can learn something now, that's probably useful.
Amazing. This is going to be an extended task, so I'll just
in the chaos as well as this is happening. I will say to Tharak to say that Professor Randall has some interesting insight into what's going on here, but more later.
Amazing. So, with the colony scientists are rushing this way and that, and just trying to stop any of their samples and specimens being destroyed, most of stabilizing the crystals is going to, funnily enough, fall to the player characters to do here. This is an extended task, so you can see a little track has appeared. You've got, I think, 10 units to tick off by doing a selection of challenges. Each time you succeed, you'll knock off some of those. Where it says B, that's a breakthrough, so something will change about the task that you've got to do. So I think we'll start with you, Schultz, as you were probably the first to react to this, as you were offering assistance already.
Okay.
What sort of approach are you taking narratively to try and get these crystals under control? You are in, just to set the scene, there's tremors on the ground. The source of it appears to be some crystals that are inside the science colony that are becoming unstable, but somehow they need to be made stable again. Like picking them up and taking them out of the colony isn't really an option if you want to still have a physical body after that. So yeah, what approach are you going to take? Feel free to techno babble it up as well, if that goes without saying.
Schultz will say it looks like there's some kind of gravimetric shear causing this potentially. Perhaps we can. Of course. I don't know. maybe we can change the field resonance that's holding the crystals in place, and kind of start typing on a computer to see whether we can reconfigure the algorithms.
Yeah, you locate the field resonator manipulator, which I'm picturing as like a little something that you have to turn a crank.
There's things to turn, things like dials and levers. No, yeah.
So you're going to adjust the field resonance. This sounds like a science test.
Okay.
I think it's daring probably in the setting that it is now, because there is like bits of the colony falling all about you. So yeah, you've got it's going to be difficulty. This task is normally difficulty 1. I'm going to spend 2 threat for this first roll to make it difficulty 2 for you, Schultz, though, just because there are bits falling all apart and you're going to be handicapped a bit by the other scientists running around here. So that's difficulty 2, daring plus science. By all means, you can give me more threat to get more dice if you want.
I was about to say, we've used our momentum, haven't we?
You have now. Your momentum 0, I'm afraid.
I'm going to give you another point of threat, because this is a threatening situation as I start spinning wheels and pulling dials in this 1960s computer room.
Excellent.
Okay.
Excellent. So roll your 3d20 and see what you can get for it. Difficulty 2
so I've
is
got,
what you need.
daring and science gives me a 14 to roll against. So.
Cool.
I get a 6 and a 14 and 17, so I get 2 successes.
2 successes. So you have succeeded. You've met the difficulty of 2. The amount of progress you make on this track is equal to your science score. So what's your science department?
Science score is 4.
Excellent. So we're going to mark off 4. So you're just on the edge of a breakthrough here. You're nearly halfway through. So I think what happens is the field resonance does indeed damp it down, and we hear this sort of whoom, whoom, whoom as the tremors just slow and begin to go there. There's still, we can see some of the panels have got arcing electricity across them. There are a couple of them that have got like scientists splayed across them, injured. And there are still, scientists are attempting to help as well, but sort of falling over one another and wrestling with these out-of-date machinery. If I pass to Thalrek, what's your approach to try and get hold of this situation?
Well, Thalrek actually likes being calm and cautious and prudent, well planned. So he's all over this. So he's just going to direct people into certain, keep them in certain stations or areas and stuff like that. I'll be dragging bodies off, and then I'll just be trying to stabilize everything. There's obviously these big sine waves on some monitor, and I'm trying to get the amplitude down. So yeah,
the Fourier series in that, from that. Okay.
So yeah, I'll look after the damage control systems and stabilization units and release gases in some rooms and things like that to kind of just get everything nice and calm and controlled.
Excellent. So that sounds like control as the attribute you're using, and maybe command if you're taking charge of the other people.
Sure.
It's again, it's difficulty 1 for you, but I am going to spend 2 threats to make it difficulty 2, just to make it a little bit more of a challenge. So
okay, I'm going to try to use my composure focus for this, because I think
sounds reasonable.
That's really good. Okay, I get 3 successes.
Okay, so you've beaten your difficulty by 1. So what's your command?
My command is 5.
Okay, so you in fact get 2 breakthroughs there. So we get 1, so 2, 3, 4, 5. Now, if you want to get, you've got a momentum there, so you can bank it. I think you need 2 momentum to get extra effect. So to push it on to get that final one to finish it off, you need to spend 2 momentum, which you don't have, unfortunately. And you have to do that with momentum, not with threat. But you have got 1 momentum you can keep there if you like. I think what happens is, scientists stop rushing this way and that. Some of them begin where they are. We see some of them like patching up some of the struts of this science colony where they are, and we can see the beginnings of isolation procedures being put into this lab. The breakthrough, though, is we cut to Schultz, where you've been doing this resonator. A whole wall sort of bursts in from here, and you can see that actually the crystal that you've got here, you're going to have to somehow vent it out into the atmosphere, which is going to mean like physically getting near to it, and using some device, maybe one of their little exosuits that they've got, or maybe piloting a little RV to try and get it away, because you can tell from the variability of its resonance flow, it's going to explode shortly. So what this means is slightly changes the scope of your task. and it also boosts it up to difficulty 2 from now on. So pass to you, Schultz, to try and finally resolve this.
Okay, Schultz just shouts, "We've got to purge the plasma relays," and then kind of like, I assume that he's kind of like falling around, even though the camera's is tilting like that kind of thing. I guess if the original series shows, he kind of like he staggers towards an exosuit and clambers in and straps himself in, and orange lights start flashing. See my reference there in my head, but it's the wrong one. But and then he kind of like he moves forward to try and get this out of the way and kind of like to get it clear. So he's got
it's probably going to be fitness. This, I think, the way you described it as well. Doing exosuit, so fitness plus science.
Fitness plus science.
Getting a lot of roles this session. It's not a usual one. Fitness plus science. Go on, difficulty 2. You've got a momentum you could spend if you want.
Can I spend momentum? Should we spend the momentum? I think.
Or, go on,
sorry, Gary. Sorry, Tharek.
Yeah, sure. Yeah, I was wondering if I could help with command by telling everybody else to get out of the way, or to. Yeah, I'll be, and there's probably like some big screens with an image superimposed on top of it, as it is in the old TV series. Yeah. So I'll be directing you, even though you can't necessarily see what's going on outside.
So how it works in the game, it's a bit of a weird one. You can, when you help, you can narratively help, sort of however makes sense in it, but you'll still roll against fitness and science because it just stops.
Okay.
I think the motivation is to stop. Not that you're trying to do this. People helping with command every time, because command is the department you can use to help anyone. If anyone's there, I'll tell them to do. So I think you have to roll with fitness plus science, basically, unless you've got a separate thing. But yeah, difficulty 2, see if we can get it.
Shall I use momentum, or if I've got your system, shall I just stick with that? I'll just roll straight 2. It's okay. Let's see what happens.
I think you'd be all right.
I get 2 successes.
And I get 1 as well.
Fantastic. So in fact, you have cleared that, and you've got another momentum as well. We see this sort of shot of the outside of the science base, and this crystal being thrown out in where there's a whoomp, and then just a blinding flash in the jungle. And when it clears, there's just this sort of crater of ash there. The alarms are still going off. The sprinkler system within this science colony is still happening, but Andal and Landsign rush back and say, I don't know, thank you. We've never had anything happen like that before. Andal is looking at the crystal with, he's picked up your broken tricorder, which now seems to have jumped back into life. It must have been you shaking the batteries, and says,
that's it.
This is, it says, Mr. Schultz, you should look at this. And he hands you the tricorder reading. And you've already scanned the radiation of these things. The residue from this crystal indicates that actually some sort of accelerant has been added to it to make it even more unstable. And Andal talks through this as you say it. And Landsign says, the Undaxians, I knew it. You've got to help us. Go and find them. The nearest colony isn't far away. See what they've been up to. He looks expectantly at you, Tharek.
Yeah, so let's not jump to conclusions. There's going on this planet and the Romulans sniffing around. We've got to be careful about that. But yes, there's been some kind of interference, but let's not immediately blame the indigenous population for it. But don't worry, we're going to go and investigate and find out who's to blame. Not that we blame each other because we're a no-blame culture, but someone's to blame for this.
Excellent. And as you look at the tricorder, Schultz, you've actually got a chance to make another check to see if you can find out a little bit more as you like twiddle the knobs and see where it is. If you want to make me a reason plus science, probably. Again, difficulty 2. This is going to be.
Okay, I can do that. So, we've got 2 points of momentum, haven't we? I don't know whether.
Yeah.
Should we spend one of them now, or should we keep them? I don't know. Feels like
we haven't kept any yet. So if you could keep one for,
let's keep them for now. I'll just roll. So I've got reason plus science. You said so. I'll just roll. See what we get. I get 2 successes.
Amazing. Yeah. So the Yeah, the accelerant is hard. It's hard to identify where it is. It's just a residue in a crystalline ore that you're not sure about. But there's definitely some spikes in this radiation thing that are similar to that you've encountered before near the neutral zone of Romulan disruptors. This isn't, you can share this, choose to share this with Thalrek or with any of the scientists if you want. It's up to you.
I'll be sharing it with Thalrek.
You're aware this is the kind of thing. This isn't something that's going to stand up in court, but the little patterns of the radiation readouts look very, very similar to disruptor, grenade, background radiation.
I'll take Thalrek aside and say that that I don't, like say this we don't have enough evidence for like this to be 100% accurate, but everything about this is saying Romulan.
I knew it, I should say.
Amazing. At that revelation, I think it's time for us to take a quick break. We will edit it down for you viewers at home, so you just have a few seconds of us, but we're going to go off to the replicator and get ourselves some. Was the replicators in the original series? I can't remember. But anyway, we're going to get one of those weird, like, coloured cubes of food.
Some food cubes.
Yeah. Some food cubes and strange and quite impractical mug of some unlikely looking liquid to refresh ourselves. We'll see you in 5 seconds or so. Welcome back. Starfleet is at a crossroads. Commander Thalrek and Ensign Schultz have averted disaster at the science colony in Andax 4, but now are faced with a choice of what to do to investigate it further. They've stabilized the crystals temporarily and also discovered a trace of accelerant on them, bearing some trademarks of Romulan disruptors. So you're in there. Landsign is quite clear that he wants you to go to the Andaxians and challenge them and put a stop to this, because clearly they've been sabotaging their work. Andal is keeping his silence for now, keeping his counsel.
Yeah, I'll continue my role of placating Landsign and saying, yes, we'll go and look at this, but let's not jump to conclusions. Don't worry though. Starfleet is on the case. You have plenty to do here. And I'll cast mime about the ruined laboratory, more or less.
Everything's spilled everywhere. The ceiling's half collapsed. Yeah. He says, we'd better get to it. So you're going to set off and go?
Yeah, we'll head out. So they've probably got some local knowledge about where the most easily accessible nearest Andraxian settlement is and things like that. So we'll get that sort of stuff, and we'll get what happens with these TV shows. There's number like some special travel clause you can get with a pack or something. So we'll get all them on, and then as we go in, I'll start discussing with my ensigns like what we're going to do. As there's a bit of walking past the polystyrene rocks and stuff.
Yeah,
I'll just break out some food cubes and say, right. So I suspect it could be Romulans. That's what we worked out from the disruptors and such, but they rarely work in isolation. They're not going to be on their own. So it could be they're embedded with the Andaxians anyway. So we should definitely go and observe them. Assuming it is Romulans, it could be anything. But I find it hard to believe that the local population have done something like unbidden. They've probably been goaded into it in some way. So we should definitely go and see them regardless. But we've got to remember the Prime Directive. Even though they've had influence of other cultures, we'll try and keep it minimal unless it becomes clear that there's some outsiders have already started interfering with them. And I think the manual says all bets are off, doesn't it? Something like that, Ensign Kenners.
It's in a big font, all caps, so it says that at the end.
Yeah.
It says, I think that annex is that annex is disputed. That appendix, it's been taken out and put back in a few times, depending on what happens. I believe that was redacted, actually, Commander, after our last mission, after a mission that happened.
Yeah, with some people who shan't be named. Yeah, so let's try and do things by the book. But what you'll realize on these aware missions, young ensign, is that sometimes you've got to throw the book out or throw the book at a thunder beast, or you've got to use the book to start a fire so you don't freeze to death. There's many ways we can use books, but enough about that. Let us try and find this Ajaxian colony and who might be influencing them.
Follow your lead, Commander, says Schultz. We're stronger together.
Stronger together, yeah. I'll give him a brotherly clap on the shoulder.
Okay, so as you proceed, you're having to go towards the nearest sort of settlement that you know is near another sort of breaking out of these crystals, actually, that are so far relatively stable. They haven't moved out from there. Now the bit of jungle this takes you in is deeper in water. You're in, I think, some maybe sort of plastic, like Wellington boot sort of environment suits, things that look a little bit like they shouldn't be shiny plastic, but are somehow waterproof. You're often sort of knee deep in these. There is here a constant buzzing and almost a sort of humming as well. This blue glow that you noticed when you first, so you didn't crash land, you transported on planet side, is here all the time, even though it's sort of just breaking dawn now. The low blue light is there. And there's lots of sort of crisscross paths. You know from your research, the Andaxians don't have much transport. They tend to just walk everywhere. And clearly these little paths that they've carved out go in a sort of maddening direction. You're sort of navigating by tricorder rather than keeping your bearings is really tough. And occasionally there are sort of big pools that open up with vines or what seem to be sort of vines that go there. You catch them twice as if they've moved. If there's a shadow in the water, maybe that's some local fauna that you're seeing, because you know Andax 4 is very rich in stuff. Maybe it's something worse. And you approach towards the nearest crystals. The glow's just getting slightly brighter here. I'm going to ask who's sort of taking the lead and scouting out first. Who's sort of keeping watch and seeing where you're going?
I think it's got to be me, because I wanted to try and push myself on this mission to be more forthright. So although I'm not feeling massively comfortable about it, I think I'm trying to show some leadership.
Excellent. So we're going to have an opposed test now. You're going to have to roll to try and detect the coming ambush, if you see what I mean. Whether it's an ambush or not will depend on how you roll against these people. I think it's probably insight plus security. This seems reasonable to me. So if you want to make a roll.
Can Schultz assist at all, or is he too busy with his tricorder?
I think you can assist. Roll a d20 to assist as well. I
You
will
say
roll before it.
Insight and
security.
Insight and security. Okay. Ooh, yeah. One success.
One success. Okay, so I'm running against 12. I have 2 successes.
I want to spend my determination.
Go ahead.
That's the precursor for that. I think Schultz shouts out, "Wait a minute, I'm detecting life forms." And I start whipping around and looking more carefully as to what might be going on.
Go for it. Reroll those 2 dice then.
That's better. So I've got 2 successes now.
So that's 3 in total. So you have 1. You notice just before they jump out at you. You can see there are some Andaxians in the distance. You see some shadows in the front. They're wearing green sort of robes. They've got their backs to you. But more pressing is a group of humanoids that leap out at you, disruptor pistols firing, as this is a group of 4 Romulans. They are clad in the Andaxian robes, sort of green to blend in with the jungle, but the pistols they're carrying are very much Romulan disruptor pistols, and they look like Romulans. They've not disguised their own appearance at all. They've all got very straight black hair, to their shoulders in the particular style that every Romulan in the original series seemed to take. And they jump at you and open fire, but you are the first to react in this thing. So you actually have the initiative. They are very much firing at you though. So bear that in mind. This isn't really a situation where you can stop and, well, you could stop and negotiate with them, but they've chosen their means of negotiation already, and it goes zap. So which of you wants to react first? You spent the determination to make the roll, so I'll leave the choice up to you, Thalwick, whether you want to go first or whether you want Schultz to go first. We'll probably keep Ken as aiding somebody in this combat rather than having roll separately. That makes more sense.
Are you keen to go first, or do you want me to leap in?
Schultz doesn't mind. If you order Schultz to go first, he will go first. But it's
okay. Now I'll continue with my role then. I've got although I've been relatively by the book kind of officer and just commanding people about stuff, this is where you see the other side of Lieutenant Commander Thalwick as he pulls out his Ushan Tor, the ice blade that he uses on his home planet to kill beast with, and let out a ululating yell and then leap at these disruptor wielding Romulans to try and cut one deeply with my blade.
Okay, this is difficulty 1, daring plus security. The bad news for you is that they can resist that with the same as well. So they are going to roll daring security as well. And they have 1 success, the Romulan you are charging at.
I'm going to give you a point of threat as well to an extra die. I've currently got 2 successes, but when I add threat to make a melee attack, I can re-roll any number of dice. I'm going to re-roll one of those.
Okay.
And see if we can get the extra success. Oh no, I had a complication instead, so that's
nice. Okay.
Yeah, so 2 successes.
You still hit that, and you've beaten them by 1, so you get 1 point of momentum. So these are the guy you've attacked is just a minor NPC, so you will inflict an injury of the severity of your Ushantor onto him, which will be enough to take him out of the fight. Do you want to narrate sort of how that happens? What do you, as you take one of them out, there are just 3 of them left?
Yeah, how? I guess I don't want to go over the top, but yeah, I'll. It will be quite bloodthirsty though, so I'll leap forward and this blade flashes down and cuts across the wrist. So the disruptor falls to the floor, splattered in green blood as the guy rolls around, clutching at his hand.
Yeah. Amazing. One of them's taken out. So normally in combat, you alternate. So they would get a go now. You can, though, I'll just put it out there, you can spend 2 momentum to keep the initiative, though, and you would keep going. You have to spend it each time. And Schultz could go next. It's up to you. You've got 3 momentum now.
Should we spend them and go next?
Yeah, it's up to you. If you want to go next, do it. If not, then you can save them for getting more dice to beat them up with or something like
that. No, Schultz will spend the momentum to keep initiative and shout, "You were right, Commander!" and pulls out his phaser.
Amazing. So it's difficulty 2, control plus security to shoot at one of them.
At what point can Schultz use a point of determination? Does he have to make his roll first, or can
no? So you can spend it before the roll to add an extra dice showing 1, so you get 2 extra successes basically, or you can spend it after to re-roll as many dice as you want.
Okay, right. He's got a special ability. But I'll do that afterwards with that. So he's going to attempt to attack with his. So there's 1 momentum left, which we'll keep in the pool.
Yeah.
So I'm just going to attack with my 2 dice. Is that just that's daring and security?
It's control and security.
Oh, control and security.
I'm spending a threat for him to evade as he jumps into a jungle pool to try and avoid you.
Oh, I didn't mean. Oh, why did it roll 3 then? It rolled 3.
I rolled 3. You rolled 2.
Oh, you rolled 2. Oh, yeah. Okay. I got 1 success then.
I have 3 successes. Go on. You look like you're okay. Something.
I was going to say, so I've so you've got 3 successes, so I'm not going to attempt to dispute that, but I am going to spend my point of determination at this point, which spirit of discovery, which is doing new things all the time, and this is very new to Schultz, which means I add 3 momentum to the group pool, which we can use. So we've now got 4 momentum to use if we need them.
Amazing. So he ducks out of the way into a pool and begins to train his disruptor. onto you. Again, you've got 4 momentum. If you want to, you can keep gaining the initiative and keep acting, or you can let them return fire. It's up to you.
I'm going to spend 2 momentum.
That's why I did it. To keep,
Yeah.
Yeah. And I shall shout. I'll shout, Kenners, flank on the left. And when one of them looks around to see where Kenners is, I'm going to blast him with my phaser. And they shall got my other hand.
So control for security. John, do you want to roll 1d20 against Kenner's 13 for control for security? I'm going to spend a threat to roll 3 dice because I don't like the look of this.
Ooh,
To try and...
I roll a 1 for Kenners.
Yeah, Kenners gets 2 successes. They've just got 1, I'm afraid.
Yeah, I've got an extra 1 as well. So we've got 3 to their 1.
So 3 to their 1. And it's so, however, it's difficulty 2. So you're going to get 1 more momentum from that because you need to beat difficulty 2 to get that. So you got momentum 3. And yeah, again, it is enough to inflict that severity. So if you want to narrate, Gaz, how Kenner's flanking takes another one out.
Yeah, Kenneth is like clutching his side, holding onto a tree. So it just says, what? Like almost confused as to what's happening. But that the momentary flicker of doubt it gives the Romulan means that I can shoot him with my stun. And I knock him unconscious with my phaser.
Amazing. Okay. The 2 that are remaining, one of them is going to return fire on you now. And he's going to shoot at you, Thalrek, because you seem to be the biggest threat, using his disruptor pistol. He is rolling his control for security. You can roll against him to try and resist this as well. And he has no successes. So
I've got 1.
Okay. The good news is you can bank that as momentum. As you duck out of the way, and it's back to your turn, which I think is Schultz, isn't it? If I've got that right.
Yes, I think it will be. So we've got 4 momentum now, did you say? Or 3?
Yeah, it's 4 momentum.
4.
Schultz will, how many Romans do we have left then? Is it 2? 2 that are up? Schultz will take 1 point of momentum to give him 3 dice and attempt to use his phaser to stun one of the remaining Romulans.
Okay.
Ooh, I get 2 successes because I rolled a 1, but my other 2 dice were not as good.
I've only got 1, so you have hit. So do you want to just describe how your phaser stuns one of them?
Yeah, so Schultz kind of stumbles forward because he almost didn't succeed it and falls to the floor. And as he falls to the floor, his phaser goes off. So he wasn't actually aiming and it just hits the guy in the chest. And so it looks great, but at the same time, it was completely unintentional because he fell over and that's the only reason he hit him.
Amazing. The final Romulan is going to try and make a last stand.
Sure.
And fire at you. He's going to spend his final point of threat as well. There'll be more where that comes from, I'm sure, to try and hit you, Schultz. So control plus security to avoid this.
I'm going to remember that we get extra dice off Kenneth because he assists someone, which we haven't done yet. So do you want to add an extra die for Kenneth trying to like dive in the way and take the shot for you or something?
Yeah, you've got 2 successes, but yeah.
Do I roll 3 then? Do I've got his help as well? Is that right?
Yeah.
I get 2 successes.
That is enough to avoid that shot. And it's back to you. You can try and finish off this one guy if you want, Thalek.
Yeah, Kenners has like shoulder charged him and knocked him off his aim. With that, I'm going to I'll try and stun him as well with my phaser because that's right. I'm going to spend 1 momentum to get an extra die.
Cool. He's got 2 successes, I think.
How irritating! I've just got 1. I think. Yeah.
And the complication, I believe, which means that I'm going to cash that in for 2 threats.
That was stupid Kenners as well, that extra die.
In fact, I'm not going to cash it in for 2 threat. I'm gonna. This is a little bit of GM fit, but it'll fit the story well for it. So, if you're okay with this, if you weren't going to spend determination, were you there, Gaz? Or
no.
Okay, good. So, you sort of lose sight of him as he ducks from there, and one of them that is the one that dived out of the water pulls out and drags Kenners to him and just holds his disruptor pistol at his head. At that point, as there's a sort of a momentary pause in the fighting, apart from the wails of this Romulan who's hand's been cut off by an Ushantor. The Andaxians all circle around and are coming around and looking quite shocked, really. They're reaching for, they've got staffs. They don't appear to be carrying weapons, but they look quite frightened. They're like, you killed our friends. You killed our friends. And just as they say that, your communicators crackle into life. And Captain Smith is on the other end, says, Thalric, what's going on down there? We've got a Romulan bird of prey that's just decloaked in orbit, saying that some of its troops have been attacked by you. They're claiming this is a Romulan client world. Please advise.
They started it, Captain. Someone shouts.
And in the TV series, this is where it goes to a commercial break. That thing. And then comes back with everybody the same in there. I think there's probably a standoff here. How do you there's an immediate situation to resolve, Schultz and Thalric initially, and then you might need to try and unpick what's happened on this planet completely. So go ahead. What do you do? You've got Kenners is being held captive by one of them. And the Andaxians are looking quite shocked. They're not armed, but they're looking like you're very much the bad guys in this situation.
Yeah, they're probably not entirely sure what a phaser is, so I'll just put my Ushantor away. And pretend I've got a communicator in my other hand.
I mean, there is one thing about the Ushantor, it's quite obviously a weapon, isn't it? It's massive, sharp blade for cutting chunks of ice off. Like, no one's going to mistake that for a light.
It's covered in green blood at the minute as well. So that can go behind my back of my belt. Well, say, look, see, these are no friends of yours. They kidnap poor travellers and point at the one that's got a gun to Kenner's head. That our wounded comrade we're bringing. We heard you had a great healer. See how the blood seeps through his tunic from the cracked ribs, and this cruel man is trying to rob us of all our worth and kill our poor friend. And
They were laying in ambush.
Eyed at them.
The Romulan says, we were protecting you. We knew they'd come. See how his sharp blade cuts the arms off us. These are no
Look,
friends
he's still
of yours.
holding a weapon. It's not us, I say.
Phaser in hand. It all sounds like great, but it might need a dice roll to just diffuse the situation. I'm thinking presence and command. Probably Thalric, you're rolling with Schultz helping.
Okay.
And you're going to roll against, actually, the Romulan leader. That probably seems reasonable to me.
Yeah.
Who's sadly not very good at presence or command. But you can roll against him anyway.
Yeah, I'm going to claim my diplomacy specialty as well.
Go for it, yeah.
Oh, one success.
Not that it particularly matters. I've just got one success as well.
I have one, so you've won by one. You can cash that into momentum as well. And I think this standoff sort of collapses momentarily, if you see what I mean. The Romulan is forced in a sort of show of peace to release Kenners, and he sort of backs away, and we're left with a sort of good, the bad, and the ugly situation of all three parties circling each other carefully, but at least prepared to talk to one another from there. That happens momentarily, but the Romulans quickly start like crawling off and trying to disappear into the jungle. Captain's on the communicator again and says, Thalric, report. What's going on down there?
Oh, Captain, there's Romulan interference setting off the dilithium crystals. They're trying to destroy the planet, letting anyone else have it. Typical Romulan maneuvers. They have spies and agents all over here. We're doing our best, but we're going to be forced to talk to the locals to try and get them on side. They've seen the Romulans in action with no other opportunity. Now the Prime Directive is out the window, I shall say.
No, Captain. Remember the Prime Directive, and then it all breaks up. Just like the tricorder, it's completely breaking it. Drop it into the swamp just to be sure. Yeah. Okay, so we're gonna leave the standoff in orbit unresolved, because if it can be resolved on the planet, that's going to be gravy for everyone. You've got some chance to maybe decide what your approach is. you've got sort of laid out pretty much what the situation is. One thing we'll add to it, Schultz, that you've got your tricorder out now in this moment of peace. Even the crystals that are here that were stable before are now becoming unstable. It looks as if the whole planet is really a bit of a time bomb if these aren't stabilized. Whether they've had accelerant added to them or whether the Romulans have interfered, it's hard to tell at this stage. But really, something needs to be done about the exploding planet, and obviously something needs to be done about the Romulans and the Andaxians. So you have a little huddle with Kenners, who, funnily enough, is bleeding from his bruised ribs again. His wounds come back. He's going to have another extended stay in medbay when and if he's back on board the convention. And you've got a moment to plan your approach before you tackle this.
We need the Andaxians on our side.
What do you think?
We need the Andaxians on our side, don't we? Though
yeah.
I mean, I think they're the ones that need convincing. I think, and because I mean,
yeah. So
look at these readouts, Commander. The planet itself is becoming unstable now. We need to get them on our side so that we can resolve this.
Well, let's convince them to take us back to their settlement, and that the Romulans are making everything unstable. So if you can maybe work on stabilizing the crystals to prove that we can help them out that way, and I'll try and use my cunning words to bring them on side and let them understand that we don't want anything from them. We're just here to make things better for them. Maybe those joint approaches will help. Ken, okay. You keep an eye out for the Romulans.
It just groans. Bruised. So this is going to be one great big extended task. So I'll just onto that. You've got to resolve the standoff. This is a track of 14, and it's going to begin because you're trying to get and you can alternate, and you're sort of doing two different things, but the difficulty is going to be the same for each of it. This is going to be a difficulty 2. Initially, this is going to be a difficulty 2, resistance 1 task. So you need to get 2 successes to get to make progress in it, and whatever progress you make is 1 less or 1 fewer when you do it. That will change when you hit the breakthroughs, and you can also spend momentum to affect that as well as you go. So Thalric, do you want to start talking to the Andaxians and trying to get them back to your settlement? Was that the approach?
Yeah, I'll just play it with Kenneth, who's like struggling more and more, and I'll say, look, we don't mean any harm. We only fight in self-defense. Your new friends, as they call them, I think, have just been making things worse. Has your crystals not got more disruptive since they've arrived? They use disruptors for this, but we can talk back at your settlement if you'd be good enough to help us with our poor comrade. And I'll just give Kenneth a squeeze who lets out some piteous wail and has a big sucking sound when he's trying to breathe. It's like, oh, if only you could help us. We want nothing more than to heal up, and maybe then we can leave you in peace, but we can't just leave him behind, as any compassionate race would understand.
I do love the weird combinations. I think this is probably presence plus medical, because you seem to be using Kenner's injuries as the way to do that. And the good news is that Kenner's can help you, so have an extra dice for that.
I think I thought you were going to say give him a squeeze to let out some more blood rather than let out a squeeze.
I mean, that's
both things can happen.
That happens as well. Yeah. Okay.
Presence medical with an extra dice from there.
I got 2 successes.
Okay, so that's successful. What's your medicine?
It's 2.
Okay, so that's going to make 1. With a resistance of 1, that's going to make you 1 progress. You can, if you want, spend a momentum to get rid of that resistance and make 2 progress if you prefer.
Yeah, I'll do that. I think just the piteous wailing of Kenneth is enough to like soften anyone's heart.
Amazing.
Or irritate them to the point they want to stop it. So it's like...
Amazing. Cautiously, the lead Andaxian says, my name is Vashlar. We do have a healer. And he takes you back to a fairly primitive sort of he's at pains to say this isn't their settlement. This is just where they are observing the crystals. They have a town further to the south, but this is where they are based for the moment. And he says the crystals have always been unstable. Our friends were helping us to control them. And maybe we cut to Schultz then. What are you trying to do to win their trust?
They weren't, but the stability is obviously increasing, say Schultz, and kind of, I don't know, they don't. The old tricorders don't have any displays. They've just got dials and stuff like
that. They don't, but you can.
Yeah.
Spock still seems to be able to find out loads of stuff from them. So yeah, feel free to imagine it has got a display on there. But yeah,
because if I configure my my tricorder to emit a, I don't know, recursive Heisenberg loop, whatever, then it will. I can watch as the stability of these crystals are affected. And you can see that
they glow more or less as you do. Yeah. Well, let's see if that works. Again, I think that's presence plus science.
Presence.
Probably that. So you're demonstrating
okay.
your science. Again, it's difficult too. You've got 2 momentum.
I'm going to take a point of that momentum.
Cool.
I get 1 success, unfortunately. I do have 2 points of determination left. I just noticed I thought I only had 1, but I have determination 3 on this character sheet. Is that correct?
I think you start with 1 unless you have anything.
Yeah, I've got.
Yeah, so
got 5 news for you, John. We've all got 3 on the character sheet, but we do only have 1.
Right, that's fine. Right. I thought in that case I have got 1 success then, and I have already used medicine.
Determination is quite easy to. If you wanted to get a determination back, you would have to just change one of your values. Just putting that out there.
Maybe I don't stay true to what I believe at this point. Then maybe I'm seeing new things on this away mission. Yeah. And although I still believe that we're stronger together, then maybe my idealism has been slightly dented and stuff as well. And so maybe my belief in the idealism of the Federation has been slightly dented by this. Perhaps that's something I'd do. Yeah.
As you break the Prime Directive by showing.
Yes, as I break. Yes.
That makes sense. So what you do is you cross out that value and you have to write a new one. You can have a bit of time to think about what the new one is. Don't worry, you don't have to come. And you'll get a point of determination straight away that you can spend to re-roll all those dice, or just the 2 that failed if you want, as many as you want. Really.
I will re-roll the 2 that failed, so I've already got 1 success. I'll do that in the attempt to, and get 2 successes, and I actually get one of them is actually it was. Presence and science, wasn't it?
Yeah. So
that 3 it's actually 3 successes I've just got. So I got 4 overall.
Yeah, I mean, quantum mechanics or warp field dynamics are certainly relevant here, aren't they? So yeah, focuses. So you've got 1, 2. Sorry, that's 4 successes. So you've beaten your difficulty by 2. So you can spend one of those to overcome the resistance if you want. That'll give you a total of 4 progress. You can burn the other 2 to get another bit of progress if you want, but 1, 2, 3, 4. So I'll tell you that if you do spend the 2 momentum for the extra progress, the first breakthrough is the Andaxians agreeing to help you.
Let's spend them then. I think it's a good move.
It's a bit dubious so breakthroughs can just alter the field of place. They might make things harder, they might make things easier, if you see what I mean. So it just depends on, or it might just change. Vashlar looks at it and he calls over one of the scientists who's got a very similar but slightly spikier looking tricorder that clearly the Romulans have given him, that you can notice has got loads of like spyware on it and things to listen to all their conversations. He says, it's true, but it's not picking up those resonance, and it only picks it up when it's safe on his thing. He says, maybe we have been betrayed. Maybe we should have trusted you. I can't believe
I'll lean over to his tricorder if you're saying that I've got those successes, and then maybe remove that filter so we can actually see what.
Yeah. And it opens, and there's also a sort of Romulan voice on the end saying, Squadron 5, come in. We've got them. We've got them. They'll never break the Prime Directive. It's fine. So it echoes across. What is this Prime Directive of which you speak? He says, it was your one of your people came, Dr. Lansine. It's very aggressive. He wanted us to leave the planet and take our crystals away, but told us they would kill them. It was only our friends that helped us, but maybe they didn't have our best interests at heart. Maybe they were like the green ones before that came.
Oh, they're very much like the green ones. Do they not bleed green?
dripping from, yeah. And at that, there's a like little tremor, and it's clear that the crystals around you are growing really unstable, and the blue glow gets a lot brighter on here. It is still it's going to be difficulty 1 now because you've got their help, and it is still resistance 1. But you've still got the threat of the exploding planet. The Andaxians are sort of cautiously on side. You still sort of need to deal with the Romulans at some stage as well and try and get them on board. Thala, what are you planning to do next?
Okay, now they're on side. I'm going to get a bit more not aggressive with them, assertive, and we say, right, now you can trust us a bit more and them a bit less. I tell you, it's them that are making these crystals unstable. They want to destroy your planet. It's everything you hold dear. We must track them down and get them to reverse the horrible change that they made. Come on, we're going to go and search for them, and I'll like drag people to the feet. Let's go. We need to get Squadron 5, as they call themselves, and undo their Prime Directive or whatever it is, this mysterious thing they've got involved in.
Ennis has a rare moment of clarity and he's like looking around that, but then nods and like he gives a meaningful look to you, Schultz, as if this is what it's always like. So I
Schultz's values going out the window.
So that's probably presence again, maybe presence and security, because you're getting them to go and patrol and get something on. Or you can make a case for something else if you want.
Yeah, I was going to make him a role for command, because I'm just like going to insist that they do what I'm telling them to do and that kind of stuff, and get them organised. I think, with my team dynamics focus, his 2 successes.
Amazing. So that is 1 extra momentum. What is your command?
My command's 5.
Okay, you're going to get another breakthrough there. Okay, so 1, 2, 3, 4. So yeah, I love this. All those command focuses that are just like buzzwords from team meetings, like team dynamics.
That's right.
Starfleet protocols. Yeah, very flexible. Okay, yeah, indeed. A little posse of these Andaxians are brought out. They carry these like wooden staffs, but you notice they do a lot. They do sort of stun people with this weird blue glow. Your tricorder doesn't like it when Houston nearby, but in short order, they have rounded up the remaining Romulan of Squadron 5, who I think under some duress are forced to, as they try and persuade the Andaxians that they're actually their friends, spill sort of the whole thing that they've infiltrated it and have been adding the crystal stability. But one of them does say, Commander Vashlar does say, not Vashlar, sorry, Commander Edric says, but it's too late. The accelerant's all over the crystals now. It won't be long before the planet shakes itself apart. The Romulan Star Empire stands ready to evacuate the Andaxians. We can have a fleet here in minutes to take you off to safety on a Romulan client world where you'll be looked after and get to sample our new technology. More than these 3 strange Starfleet personnel can offer you. And you see Vashlar, he seems convinced, but the other Andaxians are sort of looking this way and that, seem less sure.
Yeah, they're say client planets. They mean slave camps. I'm going to start like I'll grab hold of the Romulan commander, and I'm going to shove him next to the crystals and say, "Well, you'll be the first to die when they blow up." And stuff like that, unless you can help my ensign stabilize these crystals.
Okay, well, it sounds like that's the test, isn't it?
Yeah. Commander, hear me out, says Schultz. I've got an idea, but I will need help. I need more than my own tricorder. If I can just reconfigure my tricorder to collect chronoton particles, I could potentially reverse the destabilization and stabilize the planet.
Chronoton particles? Are you mad? I guess we're just going to have to roll the dice and see what happens.
Yeah. Even the Romulus chronoton particles. They use his banned in galactic protocols. They've not been used here. As you're like strapping him to a crystal. He's even more terrified now. Kenneth has got his head in his hands. It's like, okay, so I should have said that second breakthrough. I'm afraid to say brings this up to difficulty 3 now, as you've got to stop an actual planet exploding. But chronoton particles all sounds lovely. That sounds like daring and science, Schultz. Okay. I think. Sadly, the Romulan is not going to offer you a D20 to help under the duress that he's in.
Well, can we take his tricorder?
Yeah,
someone else can assist with another tricorder.
Yeah, you can do that. You can probably take some of the scientific equipment as well and jury rig something to project it over project chronoton particles all over the planet. What could go wrong?
Yeah, we could just calibrate the chronoton field.
Yeah.
Okay, so that's say daring and science. Did you say?
Yeah. You've got 1 momentum as well here.
Okay, I'm gonna take that momentum to give myself 3 dice. So that's daring and science. Okay.
Yeah, you get 1 success from Kenneth.
And I get 2 successes myself.
That is enough. What is your science 4? That is going to be enough to resolve the situation. So, suffusing the planet in chronoton particles, John, what does that look like, and what sort of effect does it have as we watch first of all on the jungle and then maybe from orbit?
I think there's obviously going to be special effects in there, but they're going to have to be fitting with the era. So I think there's going to be a psychedelic filter over the screen. Everyone goes polarized and solarized and stuff like that. Yeah. There are moments when the chronoton particles move forward and back, and suddenly we become younger and then older, and you see our older and younger selves, things like that.
Played by different actors, of course.
Probably. And then eventually it all fades, and everything has gone calm again. And there's kind of like there's sparks and smoke and stuff about on the various ore deposits and stuff like that when everything's calmed down.
And you have indeed stopped the planet exploding, and there is peace on there. I'm going to ask you just a bit of a leading question, because this is also going to resolve the standoff in orbit. Gaz, how does that happen? How does the bird of prey retreat off based on this suffusion of chronoton particles?
I think it's because the crew on the ship, they're either now quite small children or
that's exactly what I was going to say. Yeah. I was hoping you'd say that, because that's what I was going to say. But it's not. I want to say it kind of cuts the ship and it plays the Star Trek like humorous.
Yeah, the weapons officer can't remember which button it is for the disruptor cannons and things.
Yeah. They can't see the view screen and stuff. Yeah. So they are eventually towed back into the neutral zone by another bird of prey. Fantastic. And you have resolved the issue of the dilithium dilemma. Let's just cut back to the ready room. The 3 of you are there. Captain Smith is there, and he's got a paper. So just Thorot, I've read your report. It seems like you averted disaster there. Potential destruction of a sapient species, the Andaxians, and a quite nasty standoff with the Romulan Star Empire. They're just, as I look through this, there's a couple of pages that don't seem to have printed off when I've done this about how you resolve this. I wanted your advice, really. What do we do now? The Andaxians are sitting ducks there. We obviously can't break the Prime Directive to welcome them into the Federation. What are we going to do? What should I advise the Admiralty?
I think the sensible way forward is that we must work hand in hand with the Andaxians. You're saying don't break the Prime Directive, but they told us that already the Gorn have been there and tried to do all kinds of nefarious things, and they managed to get rid of them. But then the Romulans now went as friends, didn't even disguise themselves with their pointy ears and shiny black hair, walking around the place as if they owned it and handing around disruptor pistols like they were gifts. No, we must integrate ourselves with them, and perhaps we can shield them from our technology as best as possible. But the only way to keep them safe is to keep bases there and welcome the Andaxians into the fold. And perhaps we could get some specially trained officers that know about primitive matters. And behind me stood like one of those scarlet things that's with a like big beehive hair thing. But yeah, Ensign Julie knows all about prehistoric cultures through to the 1950s age.
She says, very good, very wise, Thorek. You'll make captain yet, and well done, Schultz. Take it easy. We've had a busy day, and there's far more awaiting us along the neutral zone now. It won't be the last time we clash with those Romulans. And the music fades up, and we go back. So ends our Star Trek adventure in the original series. I hope you enjoyed it. Let us know in the comments if you'd like to see more of this, more science fiction, if you'd like us to visit some more eras of Star Trek, or if you want to see more of Ensign Schultz and Commander Thalrex, and maybe even Ensign Kenner's, the much beloved Ensign Kenner's antics, do let us know in the comments below. Always, as a channel, we ask you to, if you've enjoyed it, to remember to like and subscribe. Tell your friends about it. It all helps to get the word out and helps more channels like us get noticed and record even more great games for you. So thanks for watching. Thanks for listening. And we'll see you again soon on Unconventional GMs.